Who is Dr. Joe Maola, and why does he have the summertime blues? Dr. Joe is a counselor at CCA who thought he could just chill online, but it turned out he missed the podcast that was scheduled on site. Now that's a classic case of mixing up virtual arrays with real-life delays. Summertime blues is an expression used to describe a feeling of restlessness, dissatisfaction, or frustration that we often experience during the summer months. Join us with special guests Kiley, Henehan, and Josh Ricketts of CCA as we share the cure for how to beat these blues this summer. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for being with us today, and my guests.
Hello.
Kiley, Henehan, and Josh Ricketts.
Hello.
Welcome. And,
thank you. Yes.
Yeah. So, Kiley, you were asking before we started today, what's the podcast all about?
Why are we here? No.
And it seems to be a very relevant question today as we get started. We were thinking about the title, Save This Podcast.
Saving a podcast.
And our viewers, what are we doing here? So we have a whole bunch of things to talk about, but I do want to give you free reign to talk about everything. Let's just get backgrounds here so the guests can get to know us a little bit. They know me, for whoever's tuning in. But Kiley, what do you do here with CCA?
I am a counselor here, and I'm our intake supervisor. So I manage anybody who calls in. I manage the team who takes your call, and I'm mostly a counselor though. That's my jam.
How many calls do we get per day, do you think?
Oh my gosh, so many, like 150, 200 sometimes on a Monday. Mondays are our busiest day.
So you and your team of people talking to a lot of people.
Helping you out, getting you matched to the counselor. We care a lot about who you get matched with. So it's
awesome.
It's our jam. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for doing that.
Yeah.
Okay. And Josh Ricketts. So what do you do here with CCA?
I am an administrator here at CCA.
One of the chief administrators.
I work behind the scenes, a lot of support roles, technical support roles. My busiest day is usually Monday as well, but I don't get phone calls. Usually I get emails saying something's not working. Fix it, please.
I was going to ask.
You're very good at that.
Do we need technical assistance on any of the processes we have here?
We're getting there. We're making progress. Mm-hmm. Every day we learn more things about how the system works. So
yes.
So we have medical records processes. We have people
personnel processes,
testing,
onboarding, testing.
And you would figure that all works perfectly without any glitch at all.
Smooth.
We pray for that.
Yeah. So that's what I try to take care of, and just support anything I can in making sure things function.
Yeah. So in a counseling practice that has operations in 4 states and internationally, there's a lot of things to be managed.
Yes.
And just a lot of things that go wrong.
Absolutely.
And so both of you really do management. In a lot of ways.
Yeah, we do.
That go into each counseling session going off perfectly. When the client comes to CCA, the counselor is there, and everything is ready to go.
Yeah, that's always the goal.
Yeah.
And it works 99% of the time, honestly. We're pretty good at it.
It does.
Yeah.
And thanks to everybody who watches, and thanks to everybody who gives us feedback online.
Yeah.
The reviews have been really great lately.
Yeah, we like your reviews. Give them up.
And we have a rating system that goes out, and people will be invited to give us ratings online, and they give us feedback about specifically anything they want.
Yeah.
And
we welcome that.
At times. Yeah, we welcome it. We want to hear, whether it's good or constructive
criticism.
Yes,
helps you get better.
Yeah.
And so at times it's been mixed reviews. Sometimes, especially when a process is going wrong. But in the last quarter or 2 quarters, it's been just really great.
And even if we do get a bad review, which I haven't seen one in a little while. Even when we do get one, I think we take care of it within the day. We handle it and we we fix the problem and move on.
Yeah,
with
so
you.
this would be
Help
sort
you
of an
out.
awkward moment if I
Yeah,
had nothing else
please
to
give us your feedback.
but I can truthfully say that Kiley and Josh, they're really great managers, as well
thank
as
you.
all the other things that they do, in the Christian community.
I appreciate that.
And
very nice.
so counselor Josh, you have ministerial skills.
Reverend.
Supposedly, yes.
Yes.
So technically, Reverend Josh.
Reverend
Ricketts,
Josh, yes.
comes from a ministry family. But all of that is common in the Christian community with our counselors or our managers, and we're on a mission. So
Yeah, we are. It's a good mission.
We always want to be about doing the best that we can and facing issues. So I was trying to think about, what are we going to talk about today? I don't know if you two have anything that's deeply burdening on your mind, but if we're to be honest with the audience, we were going to have another guest here today.
It did not work out the way we wanted.
Yeah. So
The whole plan
Soon to
went out the
come.
window.
Tune in next time, perhaps.
yeah. So Josh is standing in because
We appreciate you, Josh.
You're in the office today.
in the office.
and you're not scheduled to do anything appointment wise, which is common. And we were supposed to have Dr. Joe Maola here, but
Tune in next time.
tune in next time. He'll be back, Joe.
We'll be back.
We miss you. So, but Joe thought in our appointment system we send you an appointment, and it has a link in there if you don't turn it off.
Yes.
And he saw that link, and he thought we'd be online today.
Tough.
It's very tough.
It's very sad.
It's very sad.
But we love Josh, so it's okay. Excellent
Josh,
feeling.
This is not detracting from
No
Josh.
hate on Josh at all.
In my role, I deal with those kind of issues
Yeah.
a lot. That just didn't it wasn't
exactly
clear
right.
to the other person on
So
the other side.
The
So
miscommunication wheel.
clarity is something that
Clarity
I
is
have
key.
realized in this job is very difficult.
Yeah. If you're not crystal clear on what you're saying, and there's a lot that goes into that. When you're sending an email, you can just sort of take it anyway. And so Alex manages the podcast and the guests. He sent that out on our calendar system, and it just says, "Hey, be here," but it says, "Here's the link,"
Tough.
or
Yeah.
and sometimes we put the address in for people who are outside of CCA to know where they come, but we don't for
For
internal.
internal, yeah.
Because we assume that they know.
From the other conversation we had
That was
had.
unfortunate.
What do you think about that,
It's
Alex?
gonna be
Did he
okay.
have the address in here? Like, how did he know where we were going?
I told him to meet us at the office, so I thought that was the plan. Like I must have assumed that he thought that we meant to meet at the office for the studio. But can you be here in Greensburg and Pellis? Pretty sure I sent.
Did
that
you say
to
that?
him. I'll check.
I should look up that.
I should look up.
Let's see.
Fact check ourselves.
It might have been. It might have
Jesus,
been.
fact
my
Tune in next time to
Fact
see
check
where
it.
the
This is
blame is
embarrassing.
supposed to be.
See where the missing link.
So the audience, anybody watching this might be thinking, like, why am I mentioning this? Well,
Right.
hopefully it's fun for you to see what goes on here at CCA. But
We have a lot going on. Absolutely.
we have a lot going on. And so we would say be at a location. In Greensburg, there's 7 locations.
That's right.
And so sometimes we get into the habit. It's just, I'll see you at the office, but especially
Which
for the first
office?
time,
Right.
people will see 7 and pick one.
Yeah. pick your preference. No. Please
so I
come to
have
the
the-
address listed. Thank you.
Yeah, I did say we would be having the podcast on 7/19 from 12 to 2 p.m. at the Pellis office.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Would you be able to make this work for this day?
Okay. Very good, Alex. Thanks for double checking. Thank you for your
Alex
transparency.
did not make a mistake.
It's okay.
So-
mistakes happen.
It can happen.
That's-
Very easy.
With
But
all
this-
the things going on, mistakes can happen.
But this kind of stuff goes on, and I want this the title of the podcast to be "The Summertime Blues." Is there a cure?
Summertime blues.
Oh,
Yeah,
is
and-
there a cure?
Is there a cure?
Is there? Let's find out.
Because we're here live on the 19th of July. Is it the 19th or the 20th?
It's 19.
Today is the 19th.
Today's the 19th. Okay, so we're right in the heart of summer. And I've been doing this now for 25 years, and not that it matters, but there's certain patterns that happen, and if you get any advantage of doing things a long time and over, somebody who's been in this for whatever time, it is that you get to watch patterns and they happen over and over again. So what happens in the summertime to counselors? And Josh, I don't know.
I started at the end of August last year. I didn't see a summertime yet.
Yeah. So if you feel, if you ever seen somebody like deal with a problem, whether it be a depression, anxiety, addiction, trauma, what does summer have any effect on that?
Absolutely. Yeah. Summer is the time when everybody cancels their appointment for me. They never come. Yeah, they never come. And that's, I understand that. But yeah, that's when like kids ending school will leave, or like, and adults transitioning jobs, they'll just move, and they feel better with the sun. The vitamin D is soaking in, and they feel great, and then they come back.
So Josh,
around September.
How about in the church? You have been a pastor. We've all been in church all our lives. I would assume.
Roughly.
What happens in the summertime? Is there any difference?
A lot of times in the church you will see attendance slump for sure in the congregation. People are traveling, doing different things. But in the church I served most recently, it was an older congregation and they didn't travel much, so it didn't change a whole lot. So I didn't see that the same way you might in other churches. But they were dealing with other blues kind of issues than summertime.
Yeah. Well, I can remember not my church that I'm in now, but a church I was in, and I was a student ministry leader for that church, and we wouldn't see any of the kids. And one family said,
interesting.
Yeah, one family said, we're going to go to camp for the summer. And they had a camp, and that's what they would do.
They're gone.
Yeah.
They wouldn't go to church for the whole summer. Others would tell me, and these are extreme examples, they would just say, we're taking the summer off.
See, that's so interesting, because like I'm a youth leader, and we see all of our kids all summer. They never leave church. But like we try to plan for that. Like we try to get that to happen, because like if you're, we have vacations and stuff, but if you're not at school, where should you be? You should probably be at church. So we try to VBS, right? We have camp. We're doing a missions trip next week. We have all kinds of stuff going on.
Yeah. So why? And I would say at the church I'm at now, that's the thing. There's not like huge changes, but for whatever reason at this church there was.
That's interesting.
It's cavernous.
Should be.
It's just like echoing throughout the walls, right?
It wasn't working well.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work well if you were affected by a season. Summertime's the time that you take off. And Kiley, you asked, what is the goal of the podcast?
What is the goal?
And technically it is to talk about things, to infuse or bring together psychology and faith.
Love that.
And real world problems.
Sure. Yeah.
And get some perspective on that. So we hope that our clients, and in any given year there's 5,500 clients that come through Christian Counseling Associates at this point, that our counselors would be tell them, hey, watch this podcast, and you get to know the people that we're connected to. You get to know what kind of organization we are, and you would get perspective on important things that are directly pertaining to your counseling that you're getting here.
Certainly, yeah.
So in the summertime, it would be absurd to take off from church, because
I find it dumb.
and your kids that you're involved with in student ministry, they don't do that.
Well,
and we're glad.
When we try, like we infuse that into the the ministry work that we do with them. The importance of being part of the faith community for your lifetime, not just like in seasons or, times. Not that things can't change, but, it's important to have that community and to be part of it all the time.
Yeah.
Not just like when you want to.
Yeah. So for clients, why would they, and I would say that's fairly accurate.
Yeah.
This is, if there's a busy time
Sure.
in people calling in the CCA, it would be, to me, from September, mid-September, probably more like beginning of October,
Yeah.
to about April.
That's what I would think as well. We get less calls in the summer, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's a dip in the summer,
Yeah.
and it has to do probably as soon as the sun starts coming, it gets warm.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely around here, this is the low point of attendance.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
so I had a counselor who's full-time with us call me today and say, my schedule's low.
They're gone. They left.
And there's people on vacation,
Yeah,
and there's
yeah.
people who, they just say, I'm fine right now, I'm good.
Yeah.
And
That's following the feeling.
that's following the feeling.
Yeah.
So we'd want to make a metaphor that you wouldn't take off church in the summertime. If you were in counseling for a reason, why would you take off in the summertime? And you're saying following a feeling. Tell us
a
about
feeling.
that. That's what you notice.
Following the feeling. Well, we teach here, or teach, preach, help people learn. I don't know what the way you want to say that, but we help people learn here at CCA that, yeah, God gave us feelings, and God, they're part of who we are as human beings, but, we want to follow and have our values as the foundation of a decision, not like, okay, I'm angry today, so I'm going to like stomp around the house or, make angry decisions. I'm going to make decisions I would make regardless of what feeling I'm feeling today. And so when you feel better in the summer, that doesn't mean that you weren't supposed to be like working on something or like in the process of learning something in counseling. Like you should continue to come, because you were in the middle of a process. I don't fault my clients for that, because we're teaching them that actively, and that's not a problem. But
Yeah,
it
ultimately,
makes sense to people to kind of fade out.
we have a saying, ultimately counseling is not about feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
It's about facing your problems.
Sure, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that if we're doing anything here, we're walking alongside people in a Christ-led process. That's our hope, in an effort to face life,
Yeah.
real life.
Real life,
And
not the fake life.
what happens when we first noticed, man, I my feelings are all out of whack. What comes along with that is we've gotten off that track.
Right, yeah.
We're not living our lives anymore. We're stuck. So that's what counselors do. And if we were off track in April, and the calendar clicks over to, May and June, things don't radically change in one day or when the sun comes out. It's that pattern is
Right.
gradually going one way or another. And it's a lot more gradual than how we feel from day to day
Sure, yeah.
or month to month.
Like your feelings, like they go like this.
They go-
right?
they're all over
they
the
go
place.
all up and down.
All the time. So
But your progress actually looks more like this, like steady, very, very. Well, we will hope it's trending up, right?
yeah.
We would hope.
So let's get some perspective on this. We have a couple of video cuts. First, can I get the Alan Jackson? Alan Jackson Summertime Blues official video. So this is Alan Jackson's idea of what the Summertime Blues is all about.
Well, I'm gonna raise a fuss, I'm gonna raise a holler. About
This is
working on
core
something
90s.
just to find
Yes,
love.
I wish I had a truck
It's
like
very
this.
old
like-
school.
Every time I call my baby to try to get a date, my boss says, no dice, son, you gotta work late. Sometimes I wonder what I'm gonna do, cause there ain't no cure for the summertime blues.
You want to go off-roading with me next week, Josh?
That sounds like fun. I would do that. I see nothing bluesish going on.
Kiley, do you go off-road?
I do not. I do not, but this is inspiring, honestly.
When I was a teenager, that would have been like a very
attractive activity.
We would have done that on quads. We didn't have Jeeps.
I did have a quad growing up. Yeah.
Oh, there he is.
Unless you're like independently wealthy or something.
Yeah.
That could, there you go. Like that.
There's the independent.
Oh,
Is that
The
supposed to be
limo
the
showed up.
boss? Yeah. Okay, thank you.
love
I think
it.
it gives us a good idea.
Love it.
So what's out?
Redo the song and just make it pans to the counseling office. Just
And incidentally, there up in the corner of the
summertime
screen,
blues.
the next video up is Tanya Tucker's "When the Rodeo's Over." Where does the cowboy go?
That's sad. That's a sad
There's
painting. I don't want to
the
see.
blues.
because that is the high and the low.
Yeah. So we're. I don't know why that has significance for me, but it does. I get very symbolic about country songs. And do you like country, Kiley?
I like
Be
Taylor
honest.
Swift. Who like early Taylor Swift who like counts. I think she counts as country in my opinion.
Yeah.
So other people
Yeah.
will like firmly disagree with that, but that's fine.
Renee, my wife, just
Yes.
mentioned that she saw you at the Taylor Swift concert.
She did.
Or
yes.
she did? Did she not? She saw.
She did not
you
see. I saw her from afar. Yes.
Okay.
And I did not engage.
That was. That's very interesting. Yeah.
Yes.
So.
I was.
Did you have a good time there?
I did. I did have a good time. Yeah, it was
Okay.
really fun. Isabel was there as well. My coworker.
She did. She mentioned that. Were you there together?
We
or-
were not. We were there separately, but together. She had the crisis line. I did not.
Yeah. Renee was there to work the concessions for the school. That was at
Yes.
least what she had
Yes.
had said.
Yeah.
Why she was
Something.
She was really
Yeah.
passionate about earning money for the school. It just so happened that she was at a Taylor Swift concert.
Yeah,
It'd
just
be-
straight.
It's rough.
But
Yeah.
Taylor Swift is kind of country-ish.
She was country-ish in her early years. Yes,
In the early
absolutely.
years.
Mhm, yep.
Okay.
Really
So that's
enjoyed
as
her
far as
growing
you
up.
go with country. How about you, Josh? Country?
I have never really been. I kind of rebelled against country. Living in the country early, like I didn't care for it. And then when I got married, my wife listened to a lot of country, and I still. But then I started to pick up on some lyrics here and there. I'm like, oh, I kind of get that.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of connect with some of that. I still don't listen to much of it regularly, but
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't like
Not like it.
push the radio button hard when I get in the car to change it to something else. You know,
So you
Sure.
don't hate it.
I don't hate it. Yeah, I've learned to appreciate it a little bit.
Yeah. I think you have to appreciate it.
I think part of it
It's
is
nice.
is kind of almost like nostalgic for living in the country that I've
Sure,
I
sure.
kind of miss some of those feelings.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
Alan Jackson? What's he trying to say? I mean,
Summertime blues.
Summertime Blues.
Isn't that a cover? That's an older, much
It
older
was.
song. Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. No.
But
Yeah.
It doesn't look like he's having summertime blues.
He looked like he was having a great time. So I think it contradicted the music video contradicted the song a little bit.
The video just is nonsensical.
Yeah.
It's rubbing it in the face of
Yeah.
the poor guy in the lyrics who can't get away from work and things like that.
Sure. Yeah.
The poor guy. Yeah. So what's the song to you ultimately about? We're giving him a bad grade on the.
I don't
on the
know
video.
on the production of the thing.
Summertime
No.
blues.
Yeah.
It's a bad time to bring up my office has no windows, and so
Yeah. Careful with that one, Josh.
I'm not getting any of that
the
sunshine.
vitamin G. Yeah.
Counselors will call me like, "Oh, it's beautiful outside." I'm like, I don't know, I haven't seen
Haven't
this
seen it.
sunshine
Haven't heard
in
of it.
hours.
Yeah.
Josh has a corner office, but it's not a corner office with windows.
The interior
Turner
corner.
office.
This is true.
I have
Yeah.
no complaints, but
Do people in areas where it's like warm and they don't experience the seasons changes? Do they experience the same like cycle of wanting to?
That's an interesting question.
Hello, I'm David Collins with Christian Counseling Associates, in particular the Foundation for Christian Counseling. I'm also a licensed professional counselor. Just talk to you a minute about what the foundation does and what we can provide. We strengthen the local communities, the families. We create this foundation. We do that through supporting marriages and marriage tune-up. We do that through supporting individuals in parenting and Christian active parenting. We also are community support, and obviously each of those people are located in the community, and so we seek to connect those folks with our partner churches. We really engage with helping people in those times, in those floods of their life where they're in crisis. And that crisis, we help to point them, we help to shine a light towards the foundation, the rock that is Christ. We really seek and aim to meet those people in crisis, to let them know that we care, that there's a way forward, that we can keep things accessible as far as support and help through the particular foundation grants that we offer. And that is just a bit about the vision and the mission that Foundation for Christian Counseling is after. Your giving transforms communities one family at a time.
I was just came back from vacation, so we were in Montana, and it's far north, so it's cold, but the sunlight, it stays sunny until about 10 o'clock at night.
Sounds nice.
I mean,
You lived in like South America or something, Brazil, like on the border, or on the equator. I mean,
yeah. If you were in Florida or California, would you have the summertime blues? And I don't know if we've actually identified what the summertime blues is.
What are the summertime blues?
Just to get your perspective, what is it?
I don't know.
Kylie,
When you have to work and you want to be outside, is that the? Because he said his boss called, right? That's like the third time I've heard that song in my life.
Couldn't get away.
Yeah, couldn't get away from work. Can't go outside. Can't go have fun. When you're an adult,
Right.
children are living life.
Yeah. So I guess I would have a take on it in that, like, there's all different kind of forms of being disordered,
Sure.
and the summertime is, getting crazy about like what's going on, having fun,
Lots of events and things.
and so part of being carried away like that, and it's an impolite term to say that I'm crazy, but if I was to use that term, it's it denotes being out of control.
Sure, yeah.
And so the summertime blues is about if I can't be in the fun, then I'm just sad about that.
Yeah, just missing out.
Instead of being sad about what I should be sad about. Which is reality. Like, if there's something in my reality that I should be dealing with and it's a problem, I want my feelings to be telling me about that.
Sure, yeah.
But I have the summertime blues because I want to be four-wheeling in my Jeep.
I do.
I don't through the mud.
Yeah.
I don't care about my job. I don't care about my marriage. I don't care about some addiction that I'm building in my life. And it would go back to the church thing. I mean, how ridiculous would it be if you said, I don't want to be in church in the summertime.
Yeah.
I want to be at the lake.
Living it up.
Yeah.
Living it up. And every year in my life, I would take a 4-month break from what's core in my life. And so if I had anybody out there who gets caught up in that, including myself, I'd say that's sort of crazy.
Yeah.
And that's what the summertime blues, to me, that's what it's talking about.
Yeah.
All right, so second cut is so a little bit of psychology for us today.
Sure.
Can I jump in on something real quick?
Yeah,
before
yeah, absolutely. Go
Like I've been filling in preaching at a church that doesn't have a pastor right now. And I met a couple.
Where'd that pastor go? Where were they at?
I don't know. They resigned like back in February or something like that.
So they're not caught up in the summertime blues. They're just
They're
going
just-
on.
they're
Taking
just
a minute.
yeah. Well, they've had a couple bad pastor experiences, so they're having some church blues. But I met a couple, introduced themselves after church last week or the week before or something like that. They said, "Yeah, we're up here." Because this church is up like in the Donegal area, and they said, "Yeah, we're up here at camp, but this, we're away from our home church. But every time we come here to camp, we come to this church. So this is like our second home church. So like I can respect that.
Yeah, sure.
Like they, they're not blowing off. They have a different connection at a different church. And
Yes,
I was like, that's
yes.
really cool. They like sometimes we even come up to camp in the wintertime when we stop by and catch
think
up
that's
with
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. The more Christian community, the better.
Like I respect that than just say, hey, I'm going to blow it off for 4 months. Those people
So when you're
took their faith
on
seriously.
vacation, do you go to church? Do you?
Yes.
Yes. When you're at camp, you're tent camping in the middle of nowhere, do you say on Sunday, hey, we're going to leave our wonderful tent camping and find some sort of rural church in the area?
Personally, my family, it's kind of mixed. Sometimes
Yeah.
we make it to church, sometimes we don't.
I think sometimes too, we as a family have done like, okay, we're going to have church together, even if we are in the middle of nowhere, right? So like,
Sure.
like let us gather, let us pray, let us read something and learn something together, right?
We've done things
you
like
know,
that.
like prepare, like we would have prepared it ahead of time. Like we're going to learn about this,
Yeah.
together in the woods. I haven't been in the woods with my family in a long time, but that has happened. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So but these people are looking for you when they're in this summertime
Yeah.
mode,
Yeah.
and you're there, standing in for the other guy,
Standing in.
or woman who couldn't be there.
They have a new pastor coming next month, so I'm trying to bring some stability and
Okay.
get them ready
Good for you,
for
Josh.
Yeah.
trying to kind of refix that negative attitude because they've been kind of burned the last couple pastors and kind of bring some positivity so that they can
a
at
hard
least
time.
start fresh.
So if I was to say, and it's easy for me to talk about all the things that in my examples I'll be doing good. You won't get any of the, unless Alex wants to bring in any of the things that the bad examples of my behavior. But we'd go tent camping, and one time, we would always make it a point to pull out of the campground, because the campground pastor was, so if you went down to the base of the camp, there would always be Sunday services. And so that would be like one example. You could go that far, but that camp, like that guy was sometimes like hitting a recorder and saying, hey, look, check out this cool song. And then
Sure.
it would be like stream of consciousness for the sermon.
Which is a hard time.
And you could tell that he was coming off some sort of campsite and didn't really prepare.
Sure, yeah.
Or maybe he didn't have the ability,
Yeah.
and that's all they could get. There's, folks, if you're not sure, there's bad pastors out there.
That's one of the reasons we don't always hit churches when we're on vacation, because
Yeah.
we just don't know. My wife and I went to a thing in New York State one time, and we were just gone for the weekend, and we were at like this festival. It's in the town that they think like It's a Wonderful Life, the movie, was based on.
Oh, cool.
So they had this big,
towns like that.
it's a Wonderful Life festival. And so this church was like, hey, we're going to tie into this. We're going to have the speaker, and so my wife said, and I said, well, we would like to go to church. Let's go to church here. It's connected to the weekend. It'll be good. We don't know where else to go. And we got there, and there's like flyers in the pew about their, pro-abortion stance and things like
no.
that, and so we were like,
Yeah.
well, how do we get out of here? So
It's funny how things could get controversial. And
So quickly.
so quickly. Like, you find yourself in the middle of the twilight zone in church.
right.
Yeah, so we promote being Bible-believing Christians. And so it's a problem to have pro-abortion stuff in the pews or yoga downstairs in the basement.
Yeah.
And I can get even more controversial than that, but maybe we'll leave it there, And,
Certainly.
so we, one of the churches that we went to off this campground was, I just knew where it was because as a little kid I was taken there, and it's like in Farmington, PA, in my favorite county in Pennsylvania, which is Fayette County.
Fayette County.
And just love
Represent.
love the Laurel Mountains, and so we went to this little church. The pastor there, he said something that got etched in my mind. He said it was over the 4th of July. We'd always go over the 4th of July to go camping, or no, it was Memorial Day.
Memorial Day,
That
yeah.
was it. And he said he got up there, and this old school pastor says, "America will be okay. America will survive." as long as there are still Americans. and
Whether you're in a bunker underground or
and that was the
high up.
theme. And I just, it sort of spoke to me that day the people that we took from the campground filled up the back 2 pews of this little church.
Sure.
And it was a lively church service that day, or maybe that church would have been pretty much empty. And, that church needs all the campers to come down to the church and be in there. And that's the connection we need. We can do that together, or we could just take a break, take the summer off. And that is the summertime blues. Like in my crazy mind, I just want what I want.
Sure.
And, so I would love for people who are dealing with things to see that our lives don't take a break. They just don't, and our problems don't take a break. And they don't change from one day to the other. They go in some trajectory one way, or they go in some trajectory the other way, and we build things in a certain direction. And that building a life takes time. And so what you were dealing with last month really doesn't sharply take a bend unless usually it's bad. Like you have tragedies that can completely, and even if you think it's good, like you won the lottery, it's sort of strange. Some people who gamble will win the lottery and become rich. It's the worst emotionally, for somebody to have those kind of turns.
Yeah.
So month to month, pretty gradual, building one way or the other. Where are we building this? And so that's where, if you have that video cut
Of what?
of the person who's the good psychology. Remember that guy who said, every time you tell me about something, my reply is good.
Oh, yeah.
We'll explain this cut in a moment, but
It's Jacko Willick.
this guy, what's his name?
Jacko Willick?
Jacko Willie.
Willick.
Willick.
Willie.
Jacko Willick. I have no idea who this person is, but we saw this bit of psychology online, and it's the antidote for the summertime blues.
Direct subordinates, one of my guys that worked for me, he would call me up or pull me aside with some major problem, some issue that was going on, and he'd say, "Boss, we got this and that and the other thing," and I'd look at him and I'd say, "Good." And
Jocko.
Good.
telling me about some issue that he was having, some problem, and he said, "I already know what you're gonna say." And I said, "Well, what am I gonna say?" He said, "You're gonna say good."
Great.
He said, "That's what you need to say. When something is wrong and going bad, you always just look at me and say good." And I said, "Well, yeah. When things are
The metal music cracks me up.
if there's some good, that's gonna come from it. Didn't get the new high-speed gear we wanted? Good. Didn't get promoted? Good. More time to get better. Oh, mission got canceled? Good. We can focus on another one. Didn't get funded. Didn't get the job you wanted. Got injured. Sprained my ankle. Got tapped out? Good. Got beat? Good. You learned. Unexpected problems? Good. We have the opportunity to figure out a solution. That's it. When things are going bad,
Good.
don't get all bummed out, don't get startled, don't get frustrated. If you can say the word good, guess what?
Good.
Good.
It means you're still alive. It means you're still breathing. And if you're still breathing,
Good.
well then now,
Oh.
you still got some fight left in you. So get up, dust off, reload, recalibrate, re-engage,
Re-engage.
and go out on the attack.
Get it. It's slightly violent, but I
Get after
understand.
it.
Go get it. Go
Slightly
get it.
violent.
Slightly violent, but go get it. Okay.
Is it okay for a Christian to be violent?
Is there something
That's too
violent
deep of
about
a question, I think. for this podcast.
He's violent. I would say militant. And
You can be passionate, and my pastor just did a sermon on this, so like I have thoughts. Being violent in the name of Christ, I think, is necessary, but not violent like violence against another human being, but like
you
being
want to murder somebody in your mind.
Right, we're not doing that. Do not do that. Do not do that. Just like
it's not good.
Being violently like passionate or even on the defensive for something for Christ, I think is necessary for the fight that we're fighting, because we are in a fight, right?
We're in a fight,
and we're in a battle for victory. And so in order to do that, violence is sometimes necessary, but in the right way. And so Jesus flipped tables, right? And there's righteous anger, but you have to be passionate for something. And so I think violence in the name of Christ is different than what the world has made it to be.
So we had a glitch today with the podcast, and Joe couldn't make it. We said good.
Yeah. Good.
We'll get Josh.
And getting Josh down the hallway.
Josh is great.
Was sort of
great.
violent.
Was it violent? I don't know.
I mean, like me and Alex went down to Josh's office and we said the podcast must
needs
survive.
to be here today. We have to fight for it.
He's talking about resilience. He's not really
talking about resilience.
That's right.
And so at CCA we have a lot of resilience. We
do.
If some counselor that we have gets sick, cannot make it, we have another counselor who will stand in that place, because it's not about one counselor. It's not about Rich Hoffman.
It's about the work.
Kiley Henehan, Josh Ricketts, Alex Hoffman. It is about the work that gets delivered here that will continue to be available. And we have counselors who can stand in and do that. And the availability, the resilience is what is important, that you have that day in, day out, until you have a lifestyle where all those kind of things are around you. And together we're building that. And that's what it's about. That's what counseling is about. So we don't take a break.
No.
We don't cancel. We continue to go and re-engage. When there's a problem, we pivot. And, Josh, it's great to have you here.
Good.
It's good.
And that's a great piece of psychology there. And Alex, you're right. It's about resilience and building that in our lives and not letting things stop us. Any kind of blues, any kind of anxiety, any kind of trauma, we continue to face it no matter what. And so there's the only time that I cancel a session, and hopefully every client that might see this is saying, yes, this is true.
Yes, that's right. Kylie does do that.
is if I literally can't get out of bed. Now, that changed a little bit in the years of the lockdowns and things, because if you had a little bit of sniffle, you were supposed to say, I can't make it.
Right. Let's do online instead. Right?
Let's do it online.
I have done that where I'm like, hey, you don't want what I have. Let's do it online.
And so, folks, I'd preface this: we always give the client the option to have their session, knowing what we're going through. But up until that time, and still, that's the only thing that would stop me from going to church. And now again, with a little sniffle, maybe I have to think about it, which I don't think is too resilient. But that's another podcast for another
podcast
day.
For another podcast day. Yes.
It would take a lot for me to not engage. That is one thing this kind of psychology has taught me, and to keep on working on it, keep on going.
Well, I think it's hard to, you said that's the only thing that would keep me from being engaged, right? Our world right now is so full of things that take you away from being engaged or pull your focus from what you should be engaged in. And so, should is subjective, but, our kids are being pulled into like media, right? Where your focus is not on human connection. It's on, let me connect with humans, but through a filter of like media, right? Yeah. So it's just really interesting.
Yeah, so we have this saying. We have a lot of psychological sayings at CCA.
I hear at the podcast.
Yeah, and so ABC.
That's right. Always be counseling.
Always
be
be counseling.
Josh, you may not know about ABC.
I don't know about
Josh,
But-
you're just finding out about this.
Let us teach you about ABC.
I am part of the audience.
We talk about
sometimes
it
here.
every day of our lives.
Always be
because-
counseling.
Always
because
be
we're always counseling.
So Kylie, what does that mean to you? If you could give me,
Ooh.
because we're trying to
I just heard the
standardize
speech
it.
on Monday too. Always be counseling. Just always be striving. Always be, moving forward on working on things with others, with yourself, with, just, moving forward. We are not stagnant humans. We're not always be moving forward, really.
Yeah, and I'll throw out a lot
Yeah,
of
please-
sayings.
yeah,
but
please
we have
shape
another
that.
one. Around here, it's a very common one within the church, but we want to give it meaning. The church sometimes says it's not about religion;
It's about faith or relationship. That's right.
And so that's true.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the church sometimes takes it to mean it just can be me and Jesus. Yeah. I don't
Right.
need anybody else.
Me and Jesus is never true.
I don't need these other people, which will be assigned religion. That's the religion part.
No.
I think that's wrong.
No.
I think it is. Jesus, God's design is to be in relationship, and so everything is done through relationship.
That's right. Christ called you to a community.
And if you're separated from that, primarily if you're separated from Jesus, you are dead.
Accurate.
And you're withering. Jesus in his mercy will give you time to fall apart, but you will fall apart. And so connecting to Jesus is connecting to his body, which is the other people of the church. That is a tangible, real thing. And so always be counseling is about, engaging these things all the time.
Right.
And so counseling is a relationship. It is a connection back to the body of Christ, and it's a specialized relationship.
Yep.
That we will help you, we'll walk alongside you to get reconnected. And when you get connected to relationship, it brings all kinds of things out of you. It just really does.
Well, and when things come out, the Holy Spirit comes in, right? So then you're filled more and more with Jesus, which is the goal. So,
Amen. That is supernatural power in a person's life. And so when Jesus does miracles, that is to glorify God, because God is the only person who has that ability. We don't have that ability. There's nothing else in the world. There's no other promises that the world can make that you can have that in your life. And that God does that for a purpose, to draw us to him mercifully. So we're going to always be counseling because we're always setting these relationships up.
absolutely. Yeah.
And we're always building that. And so the counselors here, are very professional about that. They're very intentional. So we meet together.
We do.
We meet in person. Now we also we meet online because logistically nowadays you got to do that to compete.
We're too big a company to meet in person all the time.
I can't tell. Yeah, like Kylie.
Can I say it shamelessly? Because okay.
It's
New York's
true.
a long
Yeah.
way away from here.
We
Yeah,
have people in New York that I need to talk to today.
I'm sure.
We have people in Africa I need to talk to today that we're going to talk to online. But we're going to also meet in person as much as we can. Because there's things that relationship, if I was to say to, my family, well, you know what, I'm just going to phone that in. That's good enough, isn't it? We'll do our vacation. We'll do it online.
Stop. That'd be awful.
And so
Your brain would have no rest.
yeah, I mean,
Just
it's
like got your beach background going on.
and we folks, we have great online resources.
We do.
We do. I mean, our counseling online is the best. It is not a great substitute for the real in person. So I would. We had this meeting with this educational institution. I'm not going to mention the name. They called me back today, or like as soon as we got out of there, they emailed me online, and they said, we are going to have our experience asynchronous, which is we're going to give you the PDFs. We're going to allow you to hear the lectures on audio.
Oh, that's hard, yeah.
Yeah, and then we'll meet on Zoom.
It's kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was very depressed.
That is how I did my entire master's degree, though. Okay. And I'm a good counselor, like you can make it through and you can learn, I think that's a good option, but it was unfortunate to not be with people. And so when that's the option presented and available, it is less than the real thing, but it is still, it can still measure up to in some ways,
Good versus best.
Sure. Thank you, Josh. Yes.
Well, and this is where, we're free to have opinions here. And part of the design of the podcast today was old school versus new school.
Oh, was that the unscripted?
Did we tell you?
Nobody told me that part.
So,
am I the new school?
We wanted a new generation perspective versus.
Alex over there is young.
I've been promoted to old school.
Yeah.
Josh, I'm assigning you to old school if I can.
Okay.
And
I will represent the new
In
school.
my day, we couldn't go to school online.
In my day, I had to walk uphill both ways to the school in the snow that was 4 feet deep. Right.
That's exactly what I need today, Kiley. And so Kiley and our producer Alex are representing New School.
We are New School. Go
and
team.
So I value the New School. I'm definitely old school.
That is okay. There's room for both.
And I want the New School to value the old school. Don't reject me.
I speak for myself when I say that I do. Others do not.
Because I remember when I was at the New School and I did a lot of rejecting.
Sure, yeah. Yeah.
But in most of the counseling schools are now online.
Yeah.
The popular ones.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but like my degree was not supposed to be completely and totally online. Like they maintained throughout my entire school career that we're going to come back. And then they have split it so that there's 2 components. Like you can choose to be online or fully in person. And
what school did you go to?
I went to CalU.
Yeah.
California University of Pennsylvania.
It's not CalU anymore. It's Penn West.
Oh, that's right. I graduated from CalU, so I will maintain that. I graduated like right on the cusp before it switched to Pennsylvania Western University.
I did my
which is now
master's
a conglomerate of 3 universities, which is very cool.
I didn't even know they did that.
Yeah, it was like a whole thing.
I'm so out of the loop.
That's
School.
That's why you're old school, Josh. Welcome to the old school.
Yeah, no, but
I
I advocated for my specific certificate to say CalU on it because I wanted the red. I didn't want that's why I picked them. So
My dad went to
nobody knows
undergrad,
Penn West's name yet.
We had a meeting in Pittsburgh, and I stopped off. We ate at Station Square after the meeting.
Yeah.
At the Melting Pot.
Indeed.
And the Melting Pot used to be over across the way.
Yeah.
And now they're tearing that whole building apart.
That's
and I was like,
unfortunate.
what's going on here? Where's my restaurant?
Very old school.
And all of a sudden, I just have these old school moments. Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I can't say that. I just have to find where it's at. It's here somewhere.
Somewhere else.
But things change.
Yeah.
I still call it the Civic Arena. It's not even there.
The town.
Where's the Civic Arena?
The town my parents from, we visit it often. It's about like an 8-hour drive, and so every time we go through there, there's like 2 major highways that go through their hometown now, and they're like, we didn't even have a McDonald's growing up, the whole. I understand. I've heard the old school.
That's a great example. I was talking with I can't remember who I was asking. It was we just were with a group of friends, and
Yeah.
they're 20 and 30 something up to whatever, but I was talking about the Big Mac for some reason. You mentioned McDonald's, and I was like, have you ever had a Big Mac and fries? And they're like, no.
I have never had a Big Mac. What? But I don't want
had a Big
one.
Mac.
Like I have considered it.
Alex has never had a Big Mac.
Okay, go team because
They don't
I
like they said we don't like the lettuce. We don't like that.
I don't think I want the sauce. Whatever it is, it freaks me out.
It's like
Isn't it like a lot of things mixed together, right?
Yeah, that's why I've never
like
had
the pickle
You've
situation.
never had
I've never had Big Mac.
We're just really failing.
On a
to
burger
surround
is
here.
cheese and ketchup, so the Big Mac would be useless to me.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Technical
Go to
producer has
Chick-fil-A.
Gary has had the Big Mac.
McDonald's is bad for you.
McDonald's is
thank
bad for you.
I can't remember the last time I ate it.
About how the food pyramid has changed.
True.
Since
Food
you were in
pyramid,
school.
that came up in the conversation, but
Yes.
I had to say that when I was 12, 13, like the big highlight was to walk an hour to go, and it was uphill.
Right, I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was.
Saved $5 to eat as much as I could at McDonald's, and it would involve
You burned the calories on the way home.
and the quarter pounder and the but you
Wow.
would definitely get a Big Mac. The Big Mac was the highlight. Big Mac, fries, and a Coke. And now people are like, no, I won't do that. But you didn't have it, like, you spent your money, it was gone. You did that once, if you were fortunate, once a month,
Yeah, no.
or once maybe every 3
Well,
months.
prices are so high right now that you can't go to Chick-fil-A without spending $20. So it's just, it's hard.
Well, I still think, I haven't been to McDonald's for years, but
No.
I get the impression that you can still get a lot for $5.
I think you can. Do they have a $1 menu,
They do
Alex?
have a $1 menu.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and maybe that's the problem.
I have never been there.
When I was a college student,
In the past 5 years, I have never been to McDonald's. Like,
I
not my
could-
jam.
In college, you could get 20 McNuggets for $1.
Yeah. That's a good value. But what is in them? You don't know.
Yeah, so I'm losing my train of thought. Why am I even saying this?
We were talking about old school versus new school.
Old school versus new school.
Going through
So
town, McDonald's.
yeah,
Right, right.
I don't know about so this educational organization calls me back after we had our meeting, and they said we're gonna bring it online, and they have the best content of anybody that I've ever seen. But,
Yeah.
yeah, I called them back
Excellent.
today and said, like, look, I gotta wait until you have this in person,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't do it.
Well, it's hard to be motivated when you're on your own as well. It can be very difficult to feel like you're part of a community or really earning something when you're not doing it with other people, like
Yeah.
in the same room, right?
I wanted to be in the same room.
Yeah, I wanted to be in the same room.
Yeah. and just the presence of being there and all that experience and all the weird kind of stuff that would happen. And I think, to be fair,
An authentic experience.
yeah, like when I went to Cal U, I was living in Greensburg. I've been here since I've been 18, and I go all the way down 70. And two things that stick out in my mind, like nothing else, I'd have to speed to get there on time. Maybe I didn't, but I had this blue Toyota, and it was like a tank.
I can picture it.
A blue 4-door Toyota sedan, and I was that thing. It's one time there was this dump truck in front of me that blew out oil on the front window shield,
wow.
and it was cold, and I almost didn't pull over because instantly I hit the window wipers.
Sure.
And the glass was opaque in a second. I was like, oh, shouldn't have done that.
Tough.
Going 65 miles an hour.
But of course.
Pull it over. Second time, I was right in the interchange before you get down to the Spears area, and you're going to go over that bridge. And I'm just, radio on. I'm getting ready for grad school, and I'm going probably like 75 in a 65 or maybe 80. And the police officer pulls right beside me.
Sure, he
I didn't
does.
know this until he says, "Slow down!" Wow. And he didn't pull me over. He just
was like yelling at
we were
you.
like looking at each other like this, and he went on his way. I was slowing down as soon as like almost heart attack. But I'm like,
That would have made me like swerve. Like if you hear this voice, like the voice of God, like from above, just like slow down. Like
But that was all part of the experience, like driving down 70 in about 45 minutes, 3 times a week, and the things that would happen.
yeah, I did not want to do that.
Yeah.
I got lucky.
I had time to think, and a whole bunch of other stuff that went into being on person, like the people that I got to know. And to this day, I don't think that we probably ever would have got together or liked each other if we wouldn't have spent hours and hours and hours together.
Yeah.
Sometimes just waiting for
That
stuff.
cohort, model. It's good.
Yeah, it
important.
was part of the learning experience. So, definitely we still value the on-site stuff. But if there was a piece to this that I want to discuss is there's stuff that people don't really value here a lot. They're confused about the value of it, and the one thing is our group counseling. It's a core, third part of any recovery and reestablishment, re-engagement process, because what really has to happen if you have depression and anxiety and all the derivatives of that. So you could say that you have trauma, you have habits, including addiction. What is going to happen through a counseling intervention is it's going to be a relationship. Mm-hmm. You know, and probably the worst examples of mental health nowadays, and it's always been that way, is somebody who comes along and promises to get it done quick. Mm-hmm. And so the most powerful ways of doing that is, I'm going to give you this pill, take it, mm-hmm. and you'll be better. You won't have to do a thing. It won't take any time. Even though, if we're really honest, like, what happens to a point where people get into crisis is it's taken a lot of time to get there. Yeah. And it's a developmental process. It developed this way, you know. But what you're going to get is, you know, we're going to build, you know, things, and we're going to build this relationship. And we're going to build this new direction in your life, mm-hmm. and that's what happens. You know, it's not about feeling better, you know, from feeling worse. You know, it's gradually things are transformed in our lives, and that design is God's design. So this is a Christian organization. We believe in Christian things because they're true.
That's right.
You know, and so God has a design to transform us. And yes, you can have epiphanies. You know, your mind, like a snap of a finger, you know, things can change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But many, many, many times, usually, these changes are gradual and one day built on another. Mm-hmm. Yep. You know, and you do that through relationships, people walking alongside you.
One decision at a time.
Yeah. And a lot of times people are very isolated from that when they come here. You know, even though they have people all around them, and mm-hmm. you might be in the middle of the Christian community, all that has broken down. And so we rebuild that. And the group counseling, a lot of people don't like to step from individual counseling than to having people around them. And the first thing that we get is, what do these other people have to do with what's
me?
Going on with me?
Right.
And why would I ever tell them anything about me? I don't want them to know.
Right.
Right.
And, you know, we have pastors, lawyers, doctors, judges, you know, to people who are low profile. Mm-hmm. You know, the cash register person at McDonald's.
Yep.
Or the person who manages the home. Mm-hmm. You know, will say, what does that have to do with me?
Sure. Yeah.
And I don't want this person to know. Mm-hmm. And I would say that that's probably the primary way of when I start to get to a crisis and my feelings are all out of whack, and I say, I am depressed, I am anxious, I'm a traumatized person,
it's
I'm
very
addicted.
Self-focused of you.
Yeah, it's very private.
Yeah.
And by that time, nobody knows.
Very.
And, you know, I'm sorry to, you know, clients should watch this. I hope they do. We unfortunately have a lot of people sometimes in the church who will say, like, our counselors are in the church. We have people come to the church, and sometimes we have an old school person or a new school say, we don't want those people to come here.
Right,
you know?
Right.
And I tell them,
like,
honestly,
what would people say if those people were part of our community, which is awful.
Yeah.
We should not think like that.
The people who come here are the people who are sitting next to you in church, at work, in your family. They look and act and seem just like you.
Yeah.
There's no difference. There's nothing to be scared of.
That's right.
Yes, they are just like you.
And we're on the road to building our DACA counseling program, which is drug and alcohol rehabilitation at CCA. Mm-hmm. And I would even say to you truthfully, the heroin addict that you're afraid of is looking and seeming just like you. Now, of course, when you're in active crisis, sometimes you can tell. Let's be honest.
You may be able to tell the difference.
Some differences.
Let's be honest. And that's it. So it's very private. It's very the opposite of transparent. It's hidden. And what happens in relationship is all those things become revealed.
Certainly.
So in order to accomplish that privateness, the holding back, the concealment,
mm-hmm.
The protecting that is pretty much automatic, like there's things that you're designed to react to when you're in pain. You do that, and that stays dormant and festering. And the cure, if there is one, because there's no cure for the summertime blues, really. Well, maybe there is. We could decide by the end. Is to bring that back out in the open. That's dealing with it. That's facing life. That's re-engaging.
Well, and that all happens through a relationship, whether it's relationship with Christ or relationship with people. You know, it talks in the Bible about how, you know, when you speak to one another, there's freedom. You know, when you share in your sins, right? Or, you know, and as you build a relationship, you know, your mind is legitimately transformed. And so, you're seeking all that.
You have a lot of evangelicals who don't believe in confession.
Yes.
You know, I don't need to do that. You know, confession is a Christian thing.
Right, but confession doesn't have to be with a priest. As an evangelical, I guess.
You're an evangelical.
I guess you could call whatever.
I'm Catholic.
Whatever. If you want to call me an evangelical, you can. I love the Assemblies of God.
I'm joking. I don't belong to the Catholic Church, but the Catholics, you know, believe in confession.
Yeah,
and it's a Christian thing.
Mm-hmm. But your confession doesn't have to be with a priest. You know, if you're confessing act of confessing,
if you believe
right?
in the priesthood of all believers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So you know, however that gets done.
Yeah.
We know
the act
that it's
of confession
essential.
Is important. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and all the things that come along with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So group counseling, sometimes you can hide with your individual counselor. In fact, we'll get you to the point where nothing more can be brought out in that one-to-one.
And that's when you stop counseling, which is okay. It's okay to stop counseling.
It's okay to stop counseling, you know, but what we want to do is we want to take you past the one-to-one and give you new and more challenging venues where more can come out and you can build more and build a pattern more. So when you take it from one person to taking it to a group of people, your problems start to take on new dynamics, which means there's all kinds of peculiar things, like me heading down the road on 70. Mm-hmm. You know, I could have done the education on my own in my room, but when I opened it up to that, you know, people, you know, started to get involved, and it took on new meaning. So I would say, like, our problems affect others.
Certainly.
And it affects others in peculiar ways that we might like, ways that we don't like.
Christian Counseling Associates is ready to serve you, providing a wide range of counseling services. Christian counseling is accessible to everyone. We serve both Christians who want their faith integrated into the counseling process, or those holding any beliefs or attitudes toward spirituality. With many years of counseling experience, our counselors are professional, licensed, highly trained, and rooted in their commitment to their church and communities. CCA is able to provide a full range of clinical counseling services. For more information, visit our website at www.ccawpa.com.
Well, and when you say, like, when things are hidden, right, you think like, oh, well, nobody knows, it's not affecting anybody. That's not true. It's always affecting something or somebody else.
We just don't have an awareness of that.
You just can't see it. You've got your blinders on.
Yeah, and so, you know, one of the things that happen in group counseling is you learn so much more about yourself than you could if you were just with an individual counselor, just from being in that group and committing to say, okay, now I'm going to do this counseling here with these other people who are doing counseling also. Yeah. There's a whole range of stuff. They've actually done clinical research on this, and it just takes the recovery rates and blows them through the roof. It is, you know, so effective to get people into that venue, and the things that'll happen when you're guided by a counselor who's looking to do some things. You know, we're just not sitting there talking. You know, we look for these dynamics to bring them out.
Like a trained leader.
You know, people who think that they need to be depressed for the rest of their life or addicted for the rest of their life soon find that, wow, there is so much more that can happen for me if I engage this. And again, let me clearly say that this is a Christian design. It's God's design for us to live our lives out in community, not to be alone. It's about relationship. It's not about religion.
Well, as you engage with other people too, and this probably is a podcast for another day, but you know, as you engage with other people, your identity can so easily be found in depression or anxiety. Like, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, right? As you engage with others see different parts of you, and you're no longer able to maintain that depression is my identity moment. Like, you can't keep that going. You can't fuel that as much as you can when you're just in your own little bubble. And so, you know, it's good to connect with other people. It's good to be with other people because they'll challenge your own, you know, your own perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. So Kiley, you made a referral into my group.
I did.
Recently,
yes.
And it looks like that person is going to come.
Fabulous.
And I do a group here on Tuesday nights.
Come to group.
Right in this room, actually.
Come to group.
We clear out all the podcast stuff, and this is a really nice room to very, you know, comfortable and private to meet in, and you know, I really love the group experience that's available here at CCA. But let me play on this dynamic a little bit more, because we might be saying, you know, what's the big deal? I could be in any group anywhere. You know, so Alex, can you bring up the article here? We're going to look at a couple of articles. What is this? Living Alone article. See if we can get this. Okay, so a record share of Americans living alone.
Oh, how awful. I could never.
Nearly 30% of American households comprise a single person, which is a record high. And so we'll just flash that headline up there, you know, letting everybody know that this is real. I'm not just making up these statistics.
TheHill.com.
TheHill.com. You know, if you don't like the sources, we don't discriminate. We have all
Feel
kinds
free
of
to
different...
comment.
But the numbers are the numbers. Oh, yeah, show us that graph.
Oh, that's not a real graph.
It's not a real graph.
No, it's a moving graph.
Little moving graph there. Okay, so
Like a video of the article.
so they're saying that, you know, the solo living movement is intersecting a couple of societal trends. Marrying later, if at all. The nation is aging, and the national birth rate is falling.
Does that mean the amount of babies we are having is falling? Like, we're not having as many children?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so those are the three trends that they're looking at that result. So again, marrying later, so you're single more, the nation is aging, and the birth rate is falling.
Oh.
If you're living longer, you know, there's more of a chance that you're living alone. So there's a lot of senior, like people of retirement age plus, who they were together with a family at some point, but that has now become unavailable.
Yeah.
So
I
so there you
saw
go.
A lot of
Problem
that.
number one.
A lot of that in the church I served with older adults. One of the spouses passed away or something like
So
that.
unfortunate.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people, you know, who in that crew that they're spending a lot of time alone.
Yeah.
And that's one. Second dynamic, most teens prefer to be online.
No kidding.
So in this, Alex, if we can keep on bringing these things up so we can see them. More than 2/3 of teens say that, here it comes. More than 2/3 of teens say that they would rather communicate with their friends online than in person, according to a new study.
So much safer that way, right?
Yeah. So I don't know, the percentage of young people who said their favorite way to talk to friends is face-to-face declined to 32% from 49%
Wow.
6 years ago.
Your favorite way. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes complete and total sense, but that's so unfortunate.
So there's this dynamic that once you become isolated in your mind and even in your heart, you desire it. You desire to be alone.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a lot of, you know, people who are of retirement age who say to us, "I just want to be alone." And we have a lot of teenagers, old school and new school, who say, you know what, this is the best way. And so here I come saying, here's our group counseling, our tag groups. That's what we call it here. Transparency and accountability will give you exponential growth in whatever you're dealing with, TAG. And the first reaction out of all of our clients here is, right now it's very popular to say, man, I don't want that.
Yeah.
I would never do that. Just let me quit here. And, that goes along with our theme of the summertime blues. It's sunny out. I don't think I'll come.
Right.
I'm going to have a good time outside.
I'm feeling good. And, what are we supposed to say to our clients when they say, I don't want to do that? Good. That's part of what we need to deal with. So we do, part of our counseling is what we call values exploration, where we start to value things. We start to give importance to things that are going to build us up. And we want to identify where people need to put values in place of dysfunctional patterns.
Yeah.
And that can be done. With the guidance, our counselors are going to give you important things to place in your life. Relationships give you important things, lead you to important things. First in Jesus Christ, then maybe, through a counselor, and then through the people of the church. They point you in a good direction. So most people nowadays, it's the trend of the world to say, you know what, you should be alone. It feels good. Feels all right.
It doesn't.
And it's one of the biggest problems.
Or your feelings are liars, right?
Yeah. So spiritually, if we were to say biblically, Jesus says to us, I'm the vine, you are the branches. Apart from me, you can do nothing. And the world says, disconnect, separate. We can phone it in. We can do it without all of that. In fact, simplify, consolidate. We'll meet online.
Efficiency.
Yeah. So
sometimes it's fun to not be efficient.
Yeah. So let me get your just quick opinion on this. I know that we're in the last part of this conversation, but why so positive drug tests among U.S. workers hit a 2-decade high? Take a look at that real quick. The percentage of working Americans testing positive for drugs hit a 2-decade high last year.
Interesting.
Driven by an increase in positive marijuana tests, as businesses might have loosened screening policies and nationwide labor shortages have. So scroll up so we can. What I'm hoping to do, along with giving the audience the text that I'm reading, is to give you a chance to also. But what is it? Quest Diagnostics is a big tester, and they screened for marijuana last year. 4% roughly of the population is coming back positive in any given workplace. So. If we screen for marijuana use at CCA, would we be at 0%?
Well, I would hope, but I don't know.
What this is saying is, if you screen for drugs in your church, in your business, in your family, it's not coming back 0.
Interesting.
But let's if you're freaking out right now, and we hope that you are, because you're saying somebody in my family is using drugs. Well, it's too low of a percentage to come back in every family somebody's using. Right. It's just really prevalent. You can't have a family that's at 0% right now, folks. Don't worry. But if you were to drug test this out, statistically, on average, 4% is going to come back, and that is an increase of 8%. So think about that for a little bit. It's a significant increase since 2020, and that figure is up 50% since 2017, since the legalization of marijuana. And the
Yeah.
recreational use has gone up a ton.
Wow.
So what does that mean to you folks, besides the numbers?
It's a good distraction technique people are using. You know.
Okay.
Seemed like maybe the only thing keeping them
Next
from doing
article.
it before was the legal issues.
Yeah, sure.
You know,
Yeah.
there's people who wanted to do it before, but were a little intimidated by the laws or the punishments, or
Yeah, they're not really enforcing.
Yeah.
and if it's not illegal anymore, I'll try it or
Doesn't
I'll do
matter.
it. And
Next article, why so many middle-aged women are on antidepressants. I don't know. This one might not seem to fit.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
This is more of a 20-minute conversation but
Yeah, I don't know about that.
but at least Kiley. But we would want our general public to, which is our client base at CCA, or our folks, to understand what to think about this. Is there anything that we would think about? Is this connected to the summertime blues in any way? So the study is going to say,
But I don't, just based on the title and not having ever read the article, I would think, when you're getting higher up into what you would consider to be middle-aged, you're going through a lot of change. There's a lot of change happening in life, and that can be difficult to cope with. And so you may seek out comfort, and you may be, more sad or upset about that, and seek out that comfort in a medication, to bring you back to what you would consider your normal. You may not be dealing with that change very appropriately, but
yeah.
I don't know.
a lot of family changes during
Yeah.
that time. Kids are getting older, not around.
Yeah.
Roles change,
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Physical changes as well.
Well, and this is one of the things in psychology. There's big issues. And so we should always be thinking about these because they try to express things through these big issues. But one is that there's a higher incidence of depression and anxiety among women than there is men. So there's gender differences. And even though there's a lot in our society that says all genders should be the same, there's these statistics that disagree with that, and you just have to deal with it. So what is it? And I would say probably what you're saying, Josh, and and Kiley, you'd sort of let into that, is that this is a place where many people get disconnected. Is middle life, your family, in these instances, if you look at these trends, the family is moving on, and you're isolated.
Certainly.
And I would just like to say that maybe there's a lot more empathy, more easily in the female group than there is the male. Like men can spend a lot more time just
Not caring.
not caring,
Sure.
being disconnected and saying I'm fine until so their fall, the place where they get into a crisis about it is later, and it's much more extreme. That would be my example. Like there's gender differences, but we're facing the same thing. And it's just maybe the population of women, they're doing it better. And what's the solution? Well, we'll just give you an antidepressant so you don't have to feel it. So if you come here and you're depressed, what's the psychology for today? What do I say to you? If you're middle-aged and you're a woman, you're saying, I'm depressed. Kylie, what would you say?
Come to counseling.
You say, good.
I did forget the inside joke of the day. I apologize.
Now, folks, to be fair, this is just a psychological thing. We're not going to tell you that when you come. We're going to care for you, and we're going to meet with you and set up a way to deal with it.
Right, come to counseling
But
would
it
be
is
the
good
care.
that you're
the
looking
care.
for help and you're looking
Yeah.
to try and solve this
Give us a
issue
call
and
today.
get to the root of it instead of just trying to
Certainly.
cover it up.
Yeah,
Certainly.
so to me, like when somebody says I'm depressed, it means I've come to a place where I recognize this feeling as signaling that I am stuck. And if women are getting there sooner, the only thing that bothers me about this study is that the people on the other side are saying you shouldn't feel that way. And we're not going to do that here. We're going to find out what that indicator, that feeling is indicating in your life. And we're going to connect you with things that build your life in another direction. It might take more time than feeling good today. And, what is the cure for the summertime blues? Is
Listening to Alan Jackson. No.
it is, if you're in counseling, continue to go to counseling. If you're in the church, continue to go to church. If you're dealing with the depression or an issue of substance abuse, this isn't the time, to go out in your truck and drink beer all day. It is time to continue to deal with things just like you did in the winter, just like you did in the spring and every other season.
At the New Year resolution, right?
Yeah.
That's when we get all of our calls in January 2nd.
Get connected, stay connected.
That's right.
And you might be saying, we just want to hear people here all year long. And we're going to say, if there's people who need counseling, yes, we want them here. But we want to get people on to the next thing as soon as possible. And the summertime blues really hurts some people around here.
Yeah.
And trying to phone it in at any time in your life and not dealing with the real thing is going to set you back. So we're going to get to the end of the hour here. But this is a good one for summer. I hope that you liked it. And Kiley and Josh, it was really great to have you here. Thanks for being here on short notice.
Yeah, appreciate it.
No problem.
But that's what we're about. And Kiley,
I have learned the goal of the CCA podcast, so thank you.
Always be counseling.
Always be counseling.
And
I
Kiley,
learned that too today.
Yeah.
and folks, first time on the podcast here
Yeah.
for both of you, but I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope our audience will get the cure for the summertime blues.
Yes.
If you are struggling.
Yes.
But Kiley, do you want to end us in prayer and pray for the folks who might be dealing with something that has to do with this season,
Sure.
even though we're all supposed to be just having a fun time.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Lord, we thank you for this time that we've shared together. I pray that you will use this, the words that we've spoken, that you will use them and allow people to learn. I thank you for the work that you're doing in every person's life on the earth. Every single person, you have seen them and you know them. And so I pray for those that are experiencing that summertime high, where they don't think that they need to come in, or don't think that they need to work on anything, or, can just disregard the struggles. It's easier to forget in the summer, Lord. So I pray that you will bring that back to the forefront of their mind, and allow any client that needs to come back to CCA. I pray that you will direct that and move that. And I thank you for your divine hand moving. And we thank you for who you are and what you're doing in our lives. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Kiley, Josh, have a great summer.
Thank you.
You
You too.
All right. Bye, folks.